production on an album, and then it just turned into an album. Like, I started, like, writing a couple songs, and then and next thing I know, I'm like 7, 8 songs deep, and there was really no turning back. I was just like, let's make this record. It feels good. And someone told me, if it brings you bliss, just keep pushing. And I was having a good time doing it, and I felt like I was making some good. I had a vibe going, I guess. And I mean, pretty much from Thanksgiving to Christmas, I wrote and recorded all these songs. I think there's 3 of them that were from when I actually had COVID. Back, 3 of the tracks actually come from back then. The 2 instrumental tracks, the beginning and the end, are both instrumental tracks, and they're both from my COVID recordings. I think one of the opening track might not be, but it's around that era. And then Bobby's Free is like a spoken word addict turned into like rec department kids freaking got the baseball field named after him. Bobby's Free. So yeah, that song and the 2 instrumentals came from another time, but all 8 other songs were written and recorded between Thanksgiving and Christmas, which is pretty much the record. It's almost like those other songs are like the rapping on it all. But I started playing these triphone guitars, resonator guitars, and messing around with slides. And I mean, I come from Buddy Guy and Bob Dylan and Muddy Waters, really. And I was telling somebody the other day, like, the first 3 shows I really went and saw was Buddy Guy, Bob Dylan, and Fish, all at the Kalamazoo State Theater when I was in high school. And it's kind of like my trinity, I think, or something. I don't really listen to a ton of Buddy Guy anymore, but that turned me onto the blues. And I tell you what, the NPR station growing up, they used to have like jazz and blues on Saturday and Sunday nights, and I would listen to that stuff all night long. That was definitely like my education to the blues, I think. And I think in Kalamazoo, I mean, going to high school in Kalamazoo, Michigan, it was right across the lake from Chicago, and tons of blues guys came through, and the Kalamazoo Blues Fest was always a big deal. This song's called Holidays and Funerals. What does 20 years feel like? Do you remember that night? Faces flash by like the shimmer of her perfume. Her hand clenches the leather. Memories feel like ghosts in a ravine. Time takes your friends too soon. Grief is the devil that eats for free, but these moments stand out forever. But some moments stand out forever. Celebrate seconds in our mind, shadowed by the hard times. Holidays and funerals age like wine, forever still in these hands of mine. Forever still in these hands of mine. Everything's trying to kill us. Like a caveman we go first. Plastics and poisons wrap our heads. Pass up the wagons from the dead. All these pills got them out there on a chain gang. Stained minds from dirty water. Clean up all this illegal weight. I ain't felt good till it's been too late. I ain't felt good till it's been too late. Celebrate seconds in our mind, exhausted by the hard times. Holidays and funerals age like wine. Cigarettes in these hands of mine, forever still in these hands of mine. Lost on a ride to the bottom. Maybe we get lucky. Maybe we adapt like a tadpole in the sea. Let's make each other free. Hear me working through the floor, trying to build these open doors. Grief is a devil up in these hills. Rest easy under this Mountain Dew. Rest easy under this Mountain Dew. Celebrate seconds in our minds, exhausted by the hard times. Holidays and funerals age like wine, forever still in these hands of mine. Forever still in these hands of mine. Forever still in these. But I mean, I put out 2 records living up here. I haven't put out a record in 6 years though. This is I put out that live record, during the pandemic, which
it was like a
kind of counts.
Yeah.
But I mean, that also was like I released it in 2021.
Yeah, it seems like a long time ago. Why Appalachian blues?
I think, you think about Appalachian music and you think about bluegrass, traditional songs, but there's a lot of people that haven't really heard of Piedmont blues, which is just right down the hill, South Carolina, North Carolina, all up in here. There was a whole sect of blues that came from this Piedmont area, the kind of southeastern edge of the Appalachian Mountains, right? And it's a very major, happy sounding blues. And I think bluegrass has that same kind of major kind of vibe. And these blues, and then the Delta blues from the other side of the mountains, like putting all these 3 kind of together and trying to because that's kind of, and I think between my jazz history and my blues history and my folk music, and I've never been a big bluegrass player, but I think just trying to kind of not create a new genre or anything, but it's kind of a vibe I was feeling, and living up in these hills, sitting down by the creek playing the slide guitar feels so good and so right, and I think that's where it's all kind of come from me kind of putting my life into the music, and also starting to play the slide bottleneck style, because for the longest time I just played lap steel or dobro and didn't even really play dobro in public, just at home. And then turning the guitar from being down and playing slide like this to this, more like I've practiced my whole life. It's kind of brought a whole new sound to my music, and it all kind of, it's like 1,000 points of light came together for me to be able to make this record. And a month or whatever. These chords sometimes cut like a knife. Sometimes they bring us life. You know everybody got the mold and gambling man blues. I pay them bills or feed them kids. Little car we'll get his fill. You know everybody got them old and gambling man pocket of queens don't ever talk back, but sometimes they lose to Jack and Jack. You know everybody got the mold and gambling man blues. Swing a dull axe, it bounce off the log. Full moon will cry, moan like a dog. You know everybody got the mold and gambling man blues. You know everybody got the mold. Gambling man blues. The slide guitar is like the closest thing to like the human voice.
Why?
Like the original instrument is the voice or like clapping or whatever, right? Like that's the first music made was like singing, clapping, beating on your body, whatever. And not many instruments can do this. Like slide, like the voice can, right?
Oh, I see.
Because like most guitars, you're confined by these frets, right? Or whatever, where this, it's like I can... very vocal, very human, and I think that slide guitar resonates with people crazy. Resonator guitar, slide, does things to people.
It feels more personal.
I think there's also like, I was talking to Ronnie about this in the podcast the other day about how, like, we all have like a resonant frequency, or like certain music affects people differently, and why is that? Like why does this music make you feel this way or this? Or like, why does a slide guitar sometimes get people's attention more than a regular guitar or whatever, And it's like, certain frequencies resonate within people better than others. People like heavy metal, people like opera. It's like, it all has to do with like your physical makeup and how like that frequencies affect your mood and psyche, right? And it's like, like, hip-hop affects you differently than opera or whatever, And I think people, like, being able to play an instrument that's so close to people's vocal abilities, really, you already have those pitch changes and whatever in your vocal, you know, and like being able to slide effortlessly, like continuously between notes and not have to be note, 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 you know. It's can be a little more accessible to our like physical makeup, I feel like. I don't know. I mean, sometimes even though like I will sing from a different place in my body, like different days, like for some reason I'm singing more from here, more from here, more from here, you know, like you hear certain singers and they're all like right here, you know, that people sing from different places, I feel like. And some days my throat's better than my diaphragm or whatever, and I'll hear it, like if I go to record something that I recorded last week, I'll be like, oh, I was singing that completely different, you know, from it was like had a different timbre and tone and resonance about it, you know. So that's the thing I find these days is like I'm not the best singer, and you know, like consistency, you know, is kind of hard for me, especially in that, like I'm not a trained singer to sing, because they really, I think, teach you to sing from your diaphragm, you know, you're singing from your stomach, pushing air through your vocal cords, right? Or sometimes I'm singing from like right here, you know, or like, I don't know.
So if you go to sea level and then you come to the mountains, there's different pressure, right? So
oh yeah, air pressure, totally. Or even, I mean, the air pressure changes up here in the mountains so much.
The Appalachian. Like basically, so my point is like it's like a specific sound, even if it's like very subtle, that you're hearing the mountain.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's. There was a term we used to talk about, biodynamics. How you kind of like adapt to your surroundings, you know, and your surroundings kind of mold your path, you know, or your psyche, emotional state, whatever. Like I remember, like I used to live up in like the Pacific Northwest for a while, and they were like, you know, like super high rate of suicides because it rained so much. And I was like, really? Or is it just, I don't know. I didn't think that was necessarily true. Because I like this kind of like overcast, rainy stuff.
But like some people hate it, you know. Like in London, people, or Seattle, they have like higher suicide rate because it's gloomy.
Yeah, I mean, I remember one winter I lived out there, we didn't see the sun. We didn't see the like clouds didn't break for like 92 days. It was like a counter on the newspaper, like or the news, like radio. I don't remember where I was hearing the counter, but it was like, we've now hit 92 days without a break in the clouds. Who's it? There's this killer guitar player I was studying with. Can't even remember his name. Bill Kuhn. I wonder if he's still out there. Bill, you still out there? I used to drive like through customs to go to guitar lessons.
In Canada?
Yeah.
So where did you go to school? To Washington?
I mean, I moved to Washington to go to Western Washington University, and that didn't work out. And so I started going up to Vancouver studying with this jazz guitar player. And I did that for like a year. And then 9/11 hit and going across the border became a pain. That was a pretty main thoroughfare, like Seattle to Vancouver, you know. It just became too much of a pain to go across the border every week. And I'd already, like, a year of lessons from somebody, and I'm like, it's probably about good, you know. I mean, he definitely turned me on to a lot of stuff. That was kind of like my, like, foundation of jazz and improvisation and all kinds of the crazy jazz chords. I feel like the older I get, the more I'm reserved, and maybe I'm getting a little slower with my playing, but I also am a little more like choosing my notes better, I think. I don't know. But I think also this style of guitar, especially playing slide, like with slide, I'm muting a lot of the strings, so I'm not like getting like every string when I slide or whatever. I'm like muting everything with this hand, and just getting the notes I want instead of like getting everything, you know. It's like. So maybe that's also part of it, is that I'm playing guitar more like a piano than a guitar. But I mean, this guitar is very traditionally like more of like a Delta blues guitar, you know. A lot of everybody Appalachian's playing Martin acoustics, playing bluegrass and stuff, you know. But I mean, bluegrass is funny, you know. Bluegrass and blues are like very similar, kind of, in their like the kind of messages in their music, and like how like it can sound really sad but be a very happy song, or vice versa. You know, like those things, like in bluegrass, it's like a murder ballad, but it's like, you know, very happy sounding. You know, where like blues, I feel like, can be very like kind of dirty and sad sounding, but it's a very happy message. You know, it's kind of like this weird, you know, trying to get feelings from people, right? I think, like, you know, Delta blues comes from the country. You know, like those old, you know, this old like blues stomping stuff from like the slaves and plantation fields and all this stuff. And then, but I think there's also the other acoustic blues like Doc Watson and the Appalachian blues stuff that's like the Piedmont blues, Elizabeth Cotton to Doc Watson and all that stuff that's more bluegrass infused blues almost, you know, where it's more major and happy sounding.